So this situation is really interesting, and it's interesting in the sense that uh, it's showing how our country is moving for accountability of the things that police officers can do sometimes to a citizen. So in this situation, there's two people involved. John Romer is the police officer. Henry Newsom is the citizen, a young man, and this happened a few years ago. I think it happened in 2016. But Newsom was in a he was just coming out of the hospital. Something was going on with his stomach. I think he was coming out of the hospital, and for whatever reason, the police officer Romer approached him, wanted to know what was going on with him, asked him some questions, and Romer Newsom became upset with the questioning. After a while, he became hostile with Romer and let him know that he wasn't interested in these questions anymore. He felt they were sarcastic. Something was going on there. And his response appeared to trigger Romer, the police officer. And there was a conflict there. Romer punched him a few times, put him on the ground, these kind of things. And then later on, when he was questioned about it under oath or something, he lied about it. He appeared to have lied about it, about what happened, that he had the guy under arrest. The guy resisted arrest, and that's why he had to punch him. But what seemed to really happen is that he was triggered and he just started punching the guy and doing those kind of things. So I have the video. I'll show that to you in just a little bit. But the thing we got to remember, we all have triggers. Some police officers have triggers. We all have triggers. And the thing when citizens are dealing with police officers, you just got to keep in mind, you don't know what kind of stress they're under. And I'm not justifying this. I'm neutral on this. I'm just giving a point of view. But when you're dealing with police officers, you don't know the stress they're under. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what's going on. They could be on the edge. And if you start confronting them and I'm not saying this person was resisting, but you start getting a little belligerent with them, you might find a police officer that's quicker to the trigger, being triggered than others. He might not be as professional as others. And I think that's what happened here. This police officer was triggered by this person. And maybe, there's a reason why he approached the guy. We don't know what that is. But after the approach, he was triggered. And at the same time with this young man, as he was probably, sometimes when you're just minding your business, you're not doing anything wrong. And when a police officer approaches you and start asking you questions, it can be offensive, but that police officer has the right to do that. But at the same time, it probably felt like when I was watching that this police officer was being sarcastic and kind of playing with him a little bit. So it triggered the citizen as well. So the citizen, after a while, he became non-cooperative with the questioning. He let the officer know he's not going to be cooperative. He was hostile with that officer. And so then the officer became upset and violence pursued, punching, whatever he did. And then he arrested him. Where the officer got himself in trouble, this was a mistake. The officer was triggered. And this was a mistake of the citizen where he just didn't go along. He just got tired of it. He didn't want to go along. He said his mom was there to pick him up. I mean, there's two ways the situation could have been avoided. One, the officer, just know where your triggers are. We all have triggers. Know your triggers. Walk away, whatever you got to do. Because now he's in this situation, violence. But then there's this other person who is, Newsom, who doesn't want to be bothered. He just came out sick. He's just waiting for his ride. Here he is being approached by police officers. We've all had that happen. I've had it happen. Where a police officer might be almost making accusations while you hear this kind of thing. And sometimes you're just not in the mood for it. But at the same time, whether you're in the mood for it or not, you have to be patient in these situations. Like I said before, you don't know where the trigger is. You don't know if you're going to trigger this person. You don't know if they're on edge. You don't know what's going on. So for your own sake, you just got to be patient with it. So anyway, the officer punched him and did all these things, and then arrested him. But when I don't know what all this means, but when they were asking him questions under oath, he claimed that he arrested the man, and while he told the man that he was arrested, then the man resisted, and then he started punching, and that wasn't the case. And so, and this is rare and odd, but because he lied in that situation, the judge found him guilty and gave him 5 years, which is really interesting because it's a strong statement to all of us, police, but all of us, is that we got to be held accountable, and it almost shows you that the weight of the police, maybe the word of the police, the weight of their word, maybe deteriorating a little bit with the times, because there's more and more videos, and there was a video which I'll show to you in a minute, shows that the officer wasn't being truthful. And there's so many videos out there that shows that some officers do these things where they hurt people, whatever it is, for whatever reason, we don't know. So the fact that he lied, and then the judge gave him 5 years, is interesting. He'll probably only do 2, but doesn't matter. They did prosecute that guy. And the thing is, this happened in, I think, 2016, 17, whenever it happened. That was a long time ago. That was such a different time than right now, 2021. Such a different time. The accountability factor with police, the relationships with police, how we're trying to move forward, and we are moving forward, but it's a different time. So it's not like this guy did it today. He did it a few years ago, but it's still on camera. And it came to court. It took this long to come to court. So this is the video.
A former Fort Worth police officer received 5 years in prison for lying under oath. John Romer was found guilty in 2019 for making false statements to the grand jury about this 2016 confrontation when he punched a man in a hospital lobby. Fox 4's Dion Anglin gives us the update. Dion.
It is therefore the order, judgment, decree of this court that the defendant, John Preston Romer Jr., is hereby sentenced to 5 years confinement in the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
Handcuffed and in custody, more than 4 years after a hospital lobby encounter was captured by surveillance cameras. Former cop John Romer, convicted in 2019 of lying under oath about what happened that day, now sentenced to 5 years in prison.
There couldn't have been a more severe aggravated perjury. All the lies that he told to cover up his excessive force.
Romer was working an off-duty detail when he punched and body slammed 20-year-old Henry Newson. Prosecutors Friday revisited the case before the judge announced Romer's punishment for perjury.
So that's that. Nothing else to say on that. It's just that we just gotta keep our cool as citizens when we're dealing with the police. Sometimes we don't feel like talking to them. You know, we know we're just minding our own business. Things are going fine, but we still got to keep our cool and cooperate. It's not this gentleman's fault. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that just things to keep in mind. But that's all I have to say, everyone. Peace and hope.